welcome here to an all-new wake-up call with Dan Tortora. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and I thank everybody that joined us throughout this week. We had an interesting week, had a show with DT and Murphy, and was also jumping right into that press conference with Fran Brown and the opportunity to meet him and be there for the introduction, as well as to get to ask him a couple questions. We have been speaking with the alumni about Fran Brown's hiring. We're going to continue to do that today. And after that Monday press conference, went on to Florida and went down to Jacksonville to cover the Jacksonville Jaguars Monday Night Football game and interview Andre Cisco about the hiring of Fran Brown and more. So that's all going to be coming up with the Jaguars tomorrow. And I'm always proud to be down there in our second home in the great state of Florida. So we were there for a couple days, and now we're back home inside of our normal studios that you're used to seeing here on the broadcast. So inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', we're going to have two Syracuse Orange alum on today. We'll start with Syracuse tight end alum Pat Davis joining me on the broadcast here, picture in picture, to give his thoughts on Fran Brown and Syracuse moving forward. And then later on in the first hour, we'll have Dee Brown, Syracuse Orange running back alum, give his take on the Fran Brown hiring before we get into our normal post with Papa Joe in hour number 2, as PJ and I will talk about the Fran Brown hiring as well as the college football bowl season. And we will also get into NFL Week 14. We'll check our Week 13 picks, make our Week 14 picks, and discuss the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. So all of that coming up here today as we get things started with Mr. Davis. Pat, how we doing?
How you doing, Dan, man? Good morning. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you too. And Pat, you know, first and foremost, what I love to see, and I'm thinking that this has something to do with what what Fran had to say about the alumni, is that all of the alum that I've had on the show, y'all are wearing your Syracuse stuff, wearing it proud. Some that I've seen wear it are wearing it still. Some that hadn't been wearing it, it's back on. So bring me into that, because you're picture in picture with me. You're wearing your Syracuse football gear. Is there excitement that has come from hearing what Fran had to say?
Oh, I think there's a lot of excitement, Dan. We're happy, man, for a new era. And, it was time for a change of hands, I think. So I'm really excited about Fran Brown. I'm hearing a lot of good things, even from just friends and people that I know, even in this area, who have been recruited or have had their children recruited by Fran. They say that he's a great guy and a great recruiter. And I go back to Marty Head, man, with this Syracuse thing. I got the ring on. I got the hardware on today. The hat goes back to the days of Derek Coleman and Billy Owens, Sherman Douglas, Ron Cycli. So I've been a Syracuse fan even before I attended Syracuse. So I'm happy with the move, and I'm excited to see what this guy could possibly bring to the program.
What made you a fan back in the day?
I think just because, I was a big basketball fan. I played 3 sports in high school, and basketball was one of my favorites. And, Syracuse back then was big time. So, it was only the right choice for me. Once I got recruited by Syracuse as a sophomore, they started recruiting me real early in high school. One of the first colleges that I had gotten a letter from. And, I enjoyed the coaches. Once I visited Syracuse, I thought that I wouldn't choose Syracuse because of the weather, but there's so much more up there to offer. Even guys like yourself, Syracuse welcomed me into the community, and I always had somewhere to go, even when I wanted to get off campus, just to spend a little time in Syracuse itself.
Like you said, being a basketball fan and growing up and playing multiple sports and whatnot, when you were watching Syracuse and you were just seeing them, be it basketball, be it football, did you envision yourself there? Could you see it? I mean, what was it about Syracuse that was so enticing? Because people tell me about that all the time. They're like, man, in football players, they're like, I was watching the basketball team. I love this. I love that. I love seeing this. I love seeing what happened on the field, and they can go right back to the game. So did you have something that kind of started it all that just hit you some kind of way? Can you think back to something like that?
Dan, that's the crazy part of it. I did follow them in basketball, but back then I really had no idea, what the football program was really like. I didn't know whether they were really good or really bad. I think it was an opportunity for me because, every time a recruiter goes out, he usually has some kind of pitch
Yeah.
for the kid or his parents that he's going to tell you either, hey, come change the program or, whatever the pitch might be. And for me, at that time when I came out of high school, that was the pitch that they used for me. Pat, we want you to come to Syracuse and help turn this program around. We think of you and a few other guys that they were recruiting at the time, like Darryl Johnston, DeVal Glover, just a whole bunch of guys that they thought would change the program around. And I was interested in that. I was interested in, making Syracuse football a national power, just like the basketball team was.
And when you came over to Syracuse and playing the tight end position, it's a position that is on some teams been in a way kind of eradicated. They've done away with the fullback. They've done away with the tight end. And then Syracuse for a time stopped utilizing it. Weren't really focusing on the tight end. Then they move Arande Gadsden the second to the tight end position to essentially take their best receiver and put him in a place where they thought it was going to be more helpful to the offense. What can you say about the tight end position, the importance of it? I love the position and I respect it. It's so hard to find a good tight end, though. I mean, if you go to the NFL and I say name the top 10 tight ends, somebody might get to 5 and then they
Right.
pause. So I'd love to get your thoughts on playing the position, the importance of the position, and just your take on it because it's a position that I don't think gets enough respect.
Yeah, I don't think it's utilized enough either, Dan. Gadsden is sort of a tweener. He's sort of in between a wide receiver and a tight end. So they kind of use him more in the slot, I think, not so much as a blocking tight end. But, guys like myself and Pat Kelly at that time, I think Pat might have been 6'7", maybe 230, 240. I was probably about 6'3", maybe 250. And both of us could run. Both of us could catch the ball. When you have talent like that and you have guys like that, you have to find a way to get them into the offense. So I love the tight end position. I know a lot of teams that are sometimes going for wide receivers, or like I said, maybe somebody that's an in-betweener like Gadsden. Maybe he's in the slot. But I love the tight end position either from being on the line of scrimmage or off the line of scrimmage. We did a little of both, and we did a lot with the tight end. But I look back at those days, Dan, and I see what some of the pros are doing with tight ends now. We could have done some of those same things and been very successful. And as you know, we were successful as it was. I can't even imagine how much better we could have been had we been using the tight end even more then.
Here with Pat Davis, a tight end alum in Syracuse football history on the Fran Brown hiring and the Orange moving forward. Pat, you talk about that tight end position and utilizing that. Speaking of utilization, Fran Brown talks about utilizing the alum, not just for your money, but he said, I want to see you. I want your presence. I want you at practice. I want you here. I want you around the guys. Everything that I've been saying on the show for over a decade, things you and I spoke about, alum all throughout history of Syracuse and I have spoken about, whatever era they played. When you hear the new head coach say, George DeLeon, Coach P, that he had this relationship with DeLeon, that DeLeon gave him advice that he still remembers today, that he called Coach P and said, what do you think about me taking this job at Syracuse, to the fact that he said, I want your presence. Connection to former coaches and this desire to involve the alumni. He's connected to the history of Syracuse, and he wants to take that history and he wants to put that in front of the kids now. We've talked about it a million times. What does it mean to you to hear this new head coach say, I want to do this. You don't have to sell me on it. You don't have to beg me for it. I actually want to do it.
Man, I love the fact that he said that. I watched the press conference. I was actually trying to get there in person when he was introduced to Syracuse, but unfortunately, I had something come up and couldn't make it. But I'm very excited about this guy, Fran Brown. You know, I'm a Jersey guy too. I know Fran is from Camden, New Jersey. So one thing I know already, he won't be afraid to go into any neighborhood that he has to go get. I like that about him. I like the fact that he wants to get the alumni back with the program. Like you said, you and I have talked about that before.
Yeah.
There was never a reason where there should have been a disconnect in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you not learn from a winning team? You know, I think that that's sometimes what Syracuse is missing. It's not that they don't have the talent. I just think that sometimes they just don't know how to find a way to win. And one thing that I can tell you is my years from 84 to 89, we started growing a winning culture. And after we left, for at least maybe 3-4 years at least, these guys were still going to bowl games. They were still winning big games.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'd like to think that our culture carried over into theirs. And I think bringing back some of these players and some of us to just even talk to these guys or have these guys ask us questions, you know, what was this like? What was that like? Everything's a lot different from 1987 to 2023. We know that, of course, but you know, there's so much knowledge that these guys can get from us and so much knowledge that we can get from them. It's just a family. And what's really good about the 87 team, you know, we still have a chat room, man, where all of us keep in touch. So you just can't beat it. It's not only the love of the game, but it's for the love of the people that you played for and that you played with.
And Pat, you playing in the mid to late 80s and being a part of that 87 team that went undefeated. There's only two teams in history at Syracuse for football that have been undefeated. It was the team in 1959 that won a national championship with Ernie Davis, and your team in 1987 that went 11-0-1 back when you could tie in a bowl game and Auburn had that last field goal to tie the game. So when you go back to 87 and to what that team did, I know that football changes over time in certain, I mean, there's NIL now and there's a transfer portal and this and that, but X's and O's are still X's and O's. You still got to be able to coach well. You still got to be able to recruit well. You still got to be able to get through to the kids. The kids got to execute the plan. They got to understand the playbook. They got to understand how to ad-lib on the fly. So football is still football. What did you take away from 1987 and being undefeated, which some teams have never done in the history of their program? To do that, how do we get back there? What were the ingredients to success, the pillars of prosperity to being undefeated?
Well, I think, first of all, these guys have to spend time with each other, not only on the field, but off the field. I think the most you get or the more you get to know the people that you playing next to on the field and that you go into battle with every game, when you know them off the field as well as on the field, man, it just creates a better bond between the players. You know, not everybody is going to like everybody, but when you step on that field, you're all in it together. And I think that, the camaraderie is part of it. I've been blessed because I've been on several undefeated teams. Even in the World League, my team was 11-0-1 too with the London Monarchs. So we had a good chemistry there between the players. And I think that the coaching is a big thing. You know, these guys, your individual position coaches, you know, if you get to know them well enough and they get to know you well enough, then, you know, maybe there's some things that you can help coach on and off the field.
When you think about, you know, the opportunity to come back and to talk to the kids that are currently there, what do you think that can do? And did you have people come back and speak to you? Did you have those experiences? Because I talked to some of the alum that said, you know, hey, this guy came back and he spoke to me and this person came in and that meant a lot. Did you have that connection, former coaches or former players coming back and speaking? If you did, what was it like? And what do you think it can do for the current student athletes on the team right now?
I think it was always a good thing, Dan. You know, we had the undefeated coach come back, Ben, and that was always good when he was there at practice, so we could see him and envision what he went through back in the day, 1959 or so. And I think that any of the alum that came back was always good. I don't think it's a thing where you want to invade these guys' privacy. You just want to be there in case they have a question, in case they want to ask you something, in case you see something on the field at practice that they could be doing better because maybe you played the position yourself.
Yeah.
I think that there's nothing but positive things that can come from anybody who was an alumni and is still practicing being an alumni. I don't think you get anything but good vibes from that, and I'm glad that Coach Brown is trying to bring us all back into the fold, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, and you look at Fran Brown, also strong faith. First thing that he said when he stepped up there was, let's remember that God woke us up this morning, that we have this opportunity because of God. He said later on, there's only one perfect person that walked this earth, Jesus Christ, and he died for our sins. He did not shy away from speaking from his heart, speaking about his faith, showing you who he is. And he flat out said to the media, if you misrepresent me, if you twist my words, I won't talk to you again. So when you hear somebody say, like, I'm going to hold you accountable, I'm going to hold you responsible, I'm going to celebrate God, my foundation is going to be every day, who I am and what matters to me and matters to my family, I'm going to bring that to this team. God, faith, football, honesty, integrity. He was very open about all of that. What were your takeaways in that respect?
Well, you know what? I think you always have to respect anybody who stands up for what he believes in. I'm a religious person as well as a spiritual person, and I thank God for everything I have every day. I thank God for the talents that He gave me to be able to play the sports that I played, and to also have the success that I had when I played. And just as I said before, man, uh, you know, uh, Coach Brown giving me the opportunity, and other players. Rob Drummond is a Syracuse alum guy who lives right up there, who can actually go to these practices. You've got some other guys that used to want to go to some practices in the past, but maybe it wasn't allowed or it was a closed practice. I think that this is nothing but good things, man, can happen from all of this. And as I said, and as Fran said, none of this is possible without the man upstairs. And we give all the glory to him, and I thank him every day for everything he's done for me.
Yeah, and I loved hearing that. It felt like somebody was finally speaking my language. Pat Davis, Pat, before I let you go, Syracuse tight end alum on the Fran Brown hiring and the Orange moving forward. Your shirt that you're wearing right now says football with all in orange, all orange. It seems fitting that the new head coach wants all of the orange to be together. When you put that shirt on, does it feel different after that press conference?
The only thing that feels different is it's a little tighter right now, Dan. I am back in the gym though, man, trying to maintain and trying to get a little of this weight off. But I'm still in fairly good shape. And when I wear my Syracuse stuff, man, I think that what I got out of what Fran said during the press conference is that you want to be able to go to work, you want to be able to be around your friends, and still be able to brag about the college or university or the football team, whatever it may be. You still want to be able to talk a little smack about your team and to know that they're going in the right direction. And I love Syracuse, man. If you talk to my friends, they know that on Facebook or somewhere, I'm going to be talking about Syracuse or making sure you know what's going on at Syracuse. And as I said before, I not only love the program, I love Syracuse itself.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of Syracuse, and I'm looking forward to good things, and I will always be a fan until they put me in the grave, my friend.
Well, I'm sure you'll be a fan long after that, man. I'm sure. But you need to stick around. We need you. So, speaking of sticking around, can we expect you to come up to a practice? Can we expect you to take that open door policy from Fran and utilize that to be around the team?
Oh, I definitely will, man. Whenever I get up there, if I can be at a practice, I still go to the games. I was a little out of touch, during that COVID time when they didn't have people in the stands. But since they put people back in the stands, I've been to a few games, even ones up in Connecticut and some other places that were close to me. I've still gone to the games. I've got a son in Syracuse. So, that's still another reason to always visit Syracuse, to be able to see him. And so, yeah, I'll be around for a while, man. They may want to get rid of me by the time it's all over with.
We can't do that. Pat Davis, and Pat, what I'm excited about, what I'm looking forward to, is some of my favorite times have been spent, like the time that I spent with you and a bunch of alum when we're out at a tent, just tailgating, just having a good time after the game. I'm looking forward to that awesome brotherhood experience translating into the dome, translating into practice, and for you guys to feel welcome in a place that you built once again. And I can't thank you enough for welcoming me into the brotherhood with open arms, treating me like family. And I know how strong that bond is and how big that love is. I have had the opportunity to be around it, which I thank God for every single day, because you're all been wonderful to me. And I look forward to that day in the sun that I have fought and wanted for you guys to have. I'm looking forward for that day in the sun for you all to come up here very soon.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, Dan, man. Thanks for having me on the show, man. It's always great to see you. You've given me an opportunity to be able to reach out to the Syracuse fans and the Syracuse alumni. And we really appreciate it, and we really appreciate you, man. And God bless you on all your success, my friend. I'm sure you'll continue to grow in everything you do, man.
Oh, and the same for you, and God bless to you, all your dreams and aspirations. I love the fight and the drive that you have. So keep in touch with me, as always. I give my best to your family, send you my love, and love seeing that ring. God bless, man.
Yes, sir. 87, go Orange, right?
I'll talk with you soon. Go Orange.
Take it easy, Dan.
You too. That coming once again from Pat Davis here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, tight end alum on the Orange, inside of their history. Celebrating that history with you, and appreciate having a head coach that wants to celebrate that history. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this with Dee Brown.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge, and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item, available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Always proud to be here with you where sports truly meets that thing called life, and it is my honor and my privilege to celebrate the Syracuse Orange every single chance that I get and have the opportunity to speak with the alumni. We're doing that right now on today's broadcast as we continue the conversations. I am now picture-in-picture with Dee Brown. Dee Brown, one of the best running backs in Syracuse history, went on to the NFL. I covered, or I should say as a kid growing up, watched Dee Brown, collected his cards, huge fan of Dee Brown, and I got a message this morning from somebody else who was like, man, I love Dee Brown. And I got to shout out Nicky DiMartino. So Nick worked with my dad, and so growing up, I was around Nick like all the time, and I got a message this morning as soon as he saw that Dee was coming on the show, and he said that he loved watching him, and I feel like he echoes the sentiments of me and so many of us. So I feel spoiled to have the man on the broadcast, but Dee Brown is here with us, running back alum and NFL alum, on the hiring of Fran Brown as well as the Orange moving forward. Dee, how we doing? Oh, Dee, we got you on mute here. Let me take you off mute here.
You got me?
Yeah, how you doing?
Okay, good. Just auto error. Well, everything's good, Dan. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing very well. And you and I spoke kind of going into this, and Syracuse, the hiring, the opportunity to move forward and to find the right fit. Now that they've hired Fran Brown and decided that this is the person that they want to put the keys to the car with, essentially, and let him drive this vehicle. What are your thoughts on Fran Brown after watching the press conference?
Oh, man, I'm elated with the choice that we made to hire Fran. I didn't know a lot about him when we first started talking about candidates, but obviously being a Syracuse alum, looking at the guys that they were talking about, the Dan Mullins, the Fran Browns of the world, I was very impressed with the things that he has done so far. He's had an illustrious and very successful coaching career thus far.
Yeah.
A great recruiter, a guy who's grew up in kind of the Jersey area, so he knows that Northeast area. But he's been in some great places and learned under some great guys, mentors, if you will. I think he's a great candidate, a great person, not a candidate anymore because he has the job, but just a great person, a great man to lead our young men back to what I would call the promised land. I think he really does have the credentials to do all those great things that we want and really be able to reach and move these young men in the way that they can be successful and elite in their own craft.
Dee, you said you believe Fran has the credentials. What are those credentials that you feel really spoke to you?
Well, you think about if you look at where he's been, the experience is so valuable, Dan. You can be in this industry for a long time, but your surroundings and your environment may not be conducive to higher learning and professional advancement. I've seen a lot of coaches in this industry who are what I call stuck. Yeah. He's been places where he's had the opportunity to really grow his craft as a coach, really find his identity. I think this last stop he's had was probably the most popular one. But if you know ball, you look at the places he's been, he comes from a background of excellence where he's learned the way, he's been shown the way, now he's going the way, and he's going to be able to show that way to our kids. And so I thought just his experience alone and where he's coached in the last 10 years or so is going to be invaluable for our boys.
I spoke with Kirby Smart, the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs, and Fran's former boss about Fran. First thing he talked about was family. He talked about his son Braden. He said, Braden probably took it the hardest of all because of how close Kirby's son and Braden are, Fran's son. And then he went on to say, he was like, man, they're getting a great recruiter. He knows the whole Northeast. And then he hit with a last piece here, and he was like, he knows everybody in Philly. So when you hear that, when you hear he knows Philly, he knows the Northeast, and when a multi-time national champion head coach says, you're getting a guy that knows how to recruit, he's got those connections, he has that region, essentially on lock. What did that mean to you to hear that? Because Syracuse has kind of, in a lot of different ways in recent history, forgotten about the Northeast, forgotten about the DMV, forgotten about certain parts of maybe New Jersey, totally forgotten about the state of New York, maybe some Pennsylvania too. So when you hear Kirby Smart, of all people, say, you're getting a guy who knows the Northeast, what did that mean to you?
Well, then when you hear that, it makes me personally think of the time that I was there when Syracuse was actually winning conference championships, because that was one of the things that Coach P and his staff did a great job of, is that they fought the Penn States, the Rutgers, the Boston College. They fought those guys for, who was the best recruiters in the Northeast. And so back then we didn't have the 4 and 5 star piece going on. But the one thing I did notice is that the way they put together our team, there was a bunch of guys who were from that Northeast who were just kind of hard hat guys. Yeah. Probably wouldn't be 4 or 5 star guys, but they were just a bunch of great overachieving men who made a great career out of the opportunity that was given. And I think that's what I thought about when I thought about a guy like Fran, who knows Philly, who knows the Northeast, is that he's going to now be able to compete and go win those recruiting battles up in the Northeast. And, I'm a Florida guy, biased. You got to get a handful of us up there too. Yeah. But to win the Northeast, and you got to beat those guys out. You got to beat the Boston Colleges and the Rutgers and the Penn States. You have to compete with those guys and win those battles, because it's great talent up there. And to have a coach like Fran who knows that area, who can go into those families' homes and promise those parents that he'll take care of their son that we're trying to go into.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, being a Florida guy, state of Florida, so many teams are searching in the state of Florida. I'm there, but I'm going to ask you to try and be unbiased here. Is Florida the best state to recruit in? And are you surprised that in 2023 there's 133 FBS teams and you got a bunch of FCS teams from there? Are you surprised that seemingly the whole country looks to Florida? I know that, California and Texas, and there's certain places that people go to, but the state of Florida seems to be the state of recruiting for college football. Did that surprise you that it's gotten as big as it's gotten? And impartially, is Florida the best?
Well, I don't think it's a biased statement, Dan. I think it's a fact, that Florida definitely has what I feel is the best high school talent. A close second is Texas, and close third is California. And then you can't forget about the Georgias and the South Carolinas of the world and the Alabamas. And so it's just different sections of the United States where you're going to get great football players. But yes, I do believe that overall Florida has the most talent. And it's really about the raw talent. When I'm recruiting in Florida myself, I got a chance to really see, how these kids are being developed, the facilities that they have. Everyone knows that Florida is one of the, I don't want to say poor, but they don't really compensate their coaches the way they should, the way other states do. It's really embarrassing. But to still have the type of talent and to have the type of coaches who take the time and invest into those young men and make them the best that they can be with what they have, I think that just head and shoulders above any other state of high school football that we can talk about. So yes, Florida is that state. There's a lot of hymns in Florida, and so that's why a lot of recruiters go there. And guys who can recruit the state of Florida absolutely have a star on their resume, because that's one of the prerequisites in being a great coach for me, is being a great recruiter. And so I coach Florida. We have 6 3-stars already committed here at Campbell, and so I do understand the importance of being able to go into those states, go into those communities, and be effective in the state of Florida.
Here with Dee Brown, Syracuse and NFL running back alum, here on Wake Up Call. Dee, this is an important question. This is a personal question for me. You're from Clearwater, right? I've been to Clearwater. I had people tell me, you got to go to Clearwater, got to go to Clearwater. I've been going to Florida all my life. But my favorite beach is St. Pete Beach. Why is Clearwater better?
Well, you got to go to Clearwater Beach. Now, see, there's a difference. I'm going to educate you for a minute here. There's a difference in Clearwater and Clearwater Beach.
Okay.
And so I think the people that are kind of advising you are talking about Clearwater Beach. Okay.
Yeah.
But the difference, I don't know. I'm partial in both. I've been to both. Obviously, I visited both many times. St. Pete has just a little more culture, I think, but Clearwater Beach has great scenery. You're talking about not necessarily party areas, but outside events, things going on. You want to do things with your family, with your loved one, whatnot. I think Clearwater Beach definitely brings more opportunity for that. But St. Pete Beach is just, it's historically just a nice chill beach that, is family oriented. A lot of the elders go there. You can go there and relax. Not a lot of attraction around there.
Yeah.
So I think maybe you have to consider the source who gave you that advice. But I'll tell you that if you had to choose one, next time hit Clearwater Beach and you'll enjoy yourself, definitely.
I'm going to tell you a story about Clearwater. This is important. This is a true story. I'm going to tell you the story about Clearwater. Tell everybody around the world now, too. So, and I just came back from Florida last night. Second home of the show, second home for me in general. So I'm in Clearwater, never been to Clearwater before. I was dating a girl back when I was working at ESPN Radio down in Florida and working at Disney. And she said to me, we got to go to Clearwater. So I said, all right, let's go to Clearwater. She puts together a styrofoam thing, cooler, whatever, and she puts Uncrustable sandwiches in there. Now, I'm old school, man. If I want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I'm going to make it. If I was a kid, my mom's going to make it. I'm not buying it frozen. No offense to Uncrustables. I'm not buying it frozen, all that stuff. But she goes, no, you got to try one. And I said, all right, cool. So we go. We're sitting on the beach. There's a bunch of birds around, and the birds, this was after the bird, after, like, years after the bird flu. But the birds kind of hanging out, and people had left stuff, right? They had left fries, fry bags, McDonald's, all things you're not supposed to leave, which makes the birds think that they can take everybody's food. So I'm sitting there minding my own business. I take out the Uncrustable, strawberry and peanut butter. I'm never going to forget it. And I bit into it, and I saw this bird creep forward. And I said to and I'm Italian and Hispanic, right? Like, you got, there's a line you can't cross with me, or else we're going to have a problem, especially if it's food. And so I take a bite of the Uncrustable. I see the bird come up. I take another bite. As the sandwich is in my mouth, I feel this thing hit my shoulder, and I see the beak go into my mouth, take the sandwich out of my mouth in full, fly in front, and ate the sandwich right in front of me. And that is my memory of Clearwater Beach.
Well, man, that is the story right there. I hadn't seen that, but I would have loved to have been there to see that. So, needless to say, Clearwater birds have a mind of their own, and they're not scared of humans, right? So,
I don't know.
They're just like you. They were hungry and feasting for a meal, and so you had the right type of sandwich. Needless to say, but that's a funny story. That I have never seen that, but I would love to have been there to watch that.
If you take off of somebody's plate, let alone take it out of their mouth, in my Italian family, you might be 9 feet under. So I mean that's just how it works. But to get back to the world of Fran Brown and of this move forward, as an alum, you and I have had these conversations a bunch of times about feeling welcome, feeling included, feeling a part of something. You played from 97 to 2000. You had Coach P. He said when he was thinking about taking the job, he called Paul Pasqualoni, called Coach P, and asked Coach P, do I have your blessing? And Coach P, he said, responded to him and said, I was just up there recently with, Dwight Freeney's honoring at the BC game. He said, I went up for that, but I don't have pull at the school or anything like that. So he kind of Fran let on that Paul was kind of like, why call me? I have no say type of thing. But he respected it, and Paul said back to him what Fran had stated is that Paul told him, the fact that you're calling me, the fact that like you're actually making this phone call with him being a former coach, it meant something to him. And so, he got that blessing. Being someone who played under Coach P, when you hear the new head coach say, I called Paul Pasqualoni, I wanted to know if he was okay with me taking this job. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot, Dan. It speaks to the type of man that Fran is. He obviously understands the lineage in which Syracuse was built on. He understands that history doesn't just mean past. History still has value. And when you go and you reach out to some of the pillars and some of the leaders of our program that are historic leaders, Coach P is not going to not be perceived as not a Syracuse guy. He's a Syracuse guy all the way. Yeah. I think that was a great move. I heard the interview where he spoke about having alumni come to practice and even joked at the end of the interview, don't complain if you haven't, come to practice and been in my office. You can only come in my office if you've been to practice. I love that. I think that embodies what we're about. Syracuse is a family-oriented community and a program. Yeah. And we got to get back to that. And I think when him reaching out to Coach P, and I'm sure he's reached out to other guys who are considered pillars of our program, that just lets you know that his mindset is on the now, but it's also on what has been and how to get the good of our past back and make it better. And I think him having those conversations and putting out those open invitations, it just speaks to the type of heart and type of man that we have at the helm right now. And I'm grateful that I didn't know that until you told me that, but I'm grateful that he did that because Coach P is a pillar. He is a guy that you should be seeking some advice about because he did it in a big way when he was there. So I'm appreciative of Fran doing that.
Yeah, and to do something like that, I look back to, I'm a coach, and I tell people this all the time, I'm a Coach P kid. I grew up with Coach Mack finishing up his time, and then it was Coach P. So my, being a little kid, adolescent, teenager, going off to college, that was all Coach P. When I went to college, Coach P was still a coach. I went to 2003, he was a coach till 2004. I stand on this. Syracuse put themselves in these 2 decades plus of turmoil because they fired Coach P. To me, that was the big decision that rocked the program. So the fact that Fran Brown that's coming in now after all this turmoil says, hey, I connected with Coach P. I connect, George DeLeon, when I was growing up, I worked with him. He talked to me. He gave me advice and all that. When I hear that, I'm hearing somebody who's trying to bring that together, right? To bridge that gap that we have had. They hired somebody who cares about the alumni, who cares about the Northeast, who cares about making sure that recruits don't get out of here if he feels like, they're people that are playing Division I. Because Christian Brothers Academy, right down the road, had over 40 schools go to visit them this year. They got guys in 2025 with offers already. So to see, and Servassier Dennis is in the NFL right now, to see his desire to recruit locally, his desire to connect with the Northeast, his desire to connect with the community. He said, I want to go in the community. I want to do community service. I don't want the cameras there. I just want to help. When you hear him say all of that, and then I asked him about the alumni. I said, there's people in here right now staring at you. There's alumni looking at you right now today. What do you want to say to them? And he said, come to practice. I need you at practice. I want your presence at practice. And if you come to practice, you can come in my office and you could talk to me. You can come to my office, you could talk to me about the team. When you hear him say Northeast, community, connecting with the people in the community, getting to know the community, not sitting up up on campus, up in a castle, but coming and being with the people. When you hear community, you hear recruiting, Northeast, you hear alumni, I want you to come back. You guys built this thing. I want you here. All of those things are things that I've talked with you about, with alumni about, of all different decades. When you hear Fran say that from his heart, he doesn't know you, he doesn't know me when he walked in that day, but he said the things that we've been waiting for. Bring me into your response to hearing community, alumni, recruit the Northeast.
The term sweat equity comes to mind, Dan. It's what he's talking about doing. He's talking about, getting on his hands and knees and getting the grind work in himself. Not being a delegator or a manager, but getting down and grinding himself. In this day and age, when you see that type of effort, that type of attitude, you can't help but be a magnet to it and draw closer to that type of behavior. And so that's, I believe, how he'll create his own culture, is by doing it himself. And he's already professing to want to do that. And so when you hear about, wanting to be in the community, it's the sweat equity. He's going to put the work in, I believe, to show those guys, not just tell them, because in this world that we're in, it's all about image. It's not about audio anymore. I don't want to hear it. I want to see it. And so when he's creating his image, he's also creating the behaviors that he expects for the program. And then, those behaviors are going to create the culture that you want. And I think with that type of agenda, you won't see any more of these kind of lull seasons. I think you'll see some very excited, high-spirited kids playing ball at a high level with great discipline and great intelligence. You just kind of get that feel when you hear a man speak. Now, obviously, time will tell.
Yeah.
But if you have a great spirit of discernment, you can see that, who has it and who doesn't. And you really get that feel that this guy's going to bring a new energy that we haven't had, unfortunately, in a while, and that he's going to bring some different behaviors to the table and build his own table, really, and create a culture that I think all of us would be proud of.
Can we expect to see you come up to Syracuse and take him up on going to practice and being around the team?
Yes. It's been a while. I'm a Florida guy, so I do have my druthers about being in that cold, but I'll definitely be there, Dan. I'm definitely going to come up and visit and shake hands with him and just get around the atmosphere again. Obviously, I have my own agenda and schedule. So obviously it'll be, if it's not in my bye week of my own season, it'll definitely be towards this spring season that's coming up, or even in the summer. And I also want Fran to know, he's given an invitation to the alumni. Well, this is one alum that also gives him an invitation. Pick up the phone and call. If you really, you want to talk to some of us and really get to know us, we want to get to know you as well. Understand how it was in the glory days and how it can be similar or even better, really. We want it to be better this time around. So as well as he's given us an open invitation, I also give him an open invitation as well to create that dialogue with us and have these important conversations, because we do want to be a part of it. But to answer your question, yes, I will make my presence felt there, and I love to see all the new things that have been built and created and be around the culture that I know he's building.
What can Fran Brown learn from you, learn from the alumni? He calls you up. You're on the phone. What can he learn from you?
Oh, man. Traditions. Maybe things that went on in our days that really cultivated the brotherhood and family that he's talking about creating. Bouncing new ideas, things that can be rebirth, rather, as well. And then sharing, kind of just sharing what his overall holistic picture looks like. And, how does alumni help that cause? We just don't want to come and visit and observe, but how can we be put into action and be able to drive this culture the way that he wants it to be, So our conversation will be on, past things, history, things that have worked and been elite for us, but also how do we implement ourselves into action? and being a part of the culture and being a part of this winning program that he wants to create.
He spoke on Camden, New Jersey, where he's from. He said driving around Syracuse, he saw similarities. And somebody had said to him, "Are you sure you want to be here? Is this the city you want to be in?" He's like, "This is the city I need to be in. I need to be in this place." He said, "I came from nothing, welfare. Mom, 13 years old, had me, ended up having 4 boys." He spoke about the fact of understanding people that go through tough times, people that go through turmoil, people that have adversity, because he lived in it. He lived through it. When you hear him say, not just about the football team, not just about the university, but when he comes in and says, "I drove around the community and I saw my community and I thought to myself, I got to be a part of this." And then he pointed to his daughter and said, "She's 2. You got my word that until she's 12 years old, I'm not going anywhere." Community-wise, your thoughts on him wanting to stretch outside of the university and reach into the community and help this community that reminds him of where he grew up?
Well, it just talks about how all in he seems to be, and that's what the vision seems to be about. Is being proactive in his approach and not reactive. And I love that he speaks about the family piece, because you get the idea that he is trying to build the total man when it comes to our young boys, not just the player. But some of those guys, everyone's not going to go to the NFL. Some guys are going to be great community pillars for their neighborhoods, great fathers, great husbands, great coaches as well. And when you hear that, you envision those guys as well, him affecting and impacting those guys and creating those type of individuals and those type of behaviors that create those type of individuals. And so, you just feel like there's a guy who's all in. He just want to dive head first and to whatever is going to make our program, our city, our community a better place than it was. I think he sees a standard, but I think, and I get the feel that he has a spirit of he wants to exceed that standard and make his own mark. And man, that's love. You love to hear that type of competitive spirit, that competitive nature, and you want that. If that's my son that's going to Syracuse, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that man leading my son for the next 3, 4, 5 years. And I'm excited to know that he's going to create a brotherhood and a family where when the coaches are not around, when they're in the locker room, when the kids are in their dorms or their apartments, when they're at the Shine Center together, that, the behaviors and the expectations and the camaraderie is still the same. That's culture. And I feel like, I feel really good about that. I think he's going to do a great job of just presenting himself as a servant and there to serve our young men, our community, and anyone who wants to be a part of a program that is striving to be excellent and elite. I think that's great.
Final note, D, you come back on campus, you get a chance to talk to LaQuint Allen Jr. What do you say?
I get a chance to say what?
You get a chance to talk to LaQuint Allen. What do you say?
What do I say to him?
Yeah.
Hey, man, there's exceed the standard. Exceed the standard. Syracuse is love. Syracuse is elite. To bleed orange is a behavior. And so that's what I would tell him. To bleed orange is a behavior. And let him figure out what that means. I know what it means. I've lived it. I'm living it now. I don't think it's crazy that I still coach for a team that has orange in it, So I think it's part of who I am, part of my makeup. But that's what I would tell him, that, to bleed orange, man, is really, it's a behavior, not just a saying.
Yeah, and the Campbell Camels, like you said, wearing orange, I feel like that was part of your recruitment, figuring out what college you were going to. You're like, okay, which one of y'all are orange? That one's purple. That's not going to happen. So kind of going through all that. This is my final word because this is important to me. I know I have my Dee Brown cards. When you come up, can I finally get that D signature so I can put you in my wall of fame that I have here? I got a bunch of stuff through Syracuse history. There's stuff that's going to be going up behind me. I need to get some Dee Brown jersey hanging up on my wall or Dee Brown card. I got to do something to rep a guy that I call a friend and somebody I respect so very much. Because when I was a little kid, if I found a Dee Brown card in a pack, that one went to the side. And now at 38 years old, I'm like, man, where's my Dee Brown signature? I got to make that happen.
Absolutely. You have my word that will definitely take place, man. I will present it to you hand to hand. Would love to be able to visit, man, and see you. You've been a great supporter of our program. You've been a great supporter of me, my family, and everything that I've been able to do in my career. And so, love guys like yourself, man. You really embody what Syracuse and epitomize what Syracuse, the culture is about. When we talk about that culture and that fabric, you're definitely torn from it. So I can't wait to get there and visit everyone. But obviously, definitely want to link up with Dan, man, and one of the best shows around. And so I appreciate you having me on and be able to, put a microphone in front of me to be able to share about such an illustrious university like Syracuse that I absolutely love and adore. So I appreciate you for the opportunity.
Kind words, man. I will do my best to live up to them. I appreciate you very, very much. And this doesn't happen without, the person that you're calling on the other line saying yes. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak about your history, to speak about your current. I know the Campbell Camels are in good hands. And the thing about Campbell that I want to tell you, I might have not told you this before, but I've crossed paths with this team before, and in coverage of the nation of sports, I've been able to already kind of cross those paths. So to see you there and to see everything you're doing, man, wherever you go, I trust that if Dee Brown is there, there's going to be some gold that gets found, through all of those, through all those rocks and looking through everything. I know there's going to be some gold that we chip away at because of you. So your words are incredible, and like I said, I'm going to work to live up to those every day. But you're royalty to me at Syracuse and beyond, and I'm very proud and grateful to know you, and I can't wait to see you when you come up.
I appreciate you, Dan. Yes, Campbell is a great place, man. We're going to do some amazing things, and I know this is not my final destination, but I haven't thought about that. I let the Most High direct my steps. I feel my steps are already ordered. I'm going to believe in that. I believe there's a purpose for me. And so I don't have to worry about that. I don't wake up worried about those things, but I do appreciate your kind words. There's gold mines here, and we're going to find them. And you should see them soon.
Yeah, and then I take this personally, and I read something, I forget what I post sometimes, and I always thank past Dan for helping present Dan, but I posted complaints, and I can't take credit for it, I found it somewhere, but they said complaints are prayers to the devil. So keep those blessings up, keep that positivity, and I feel the same way. When God is guiding you, you cannot fail, and you're not going to go to the wrong place. So keep the Most High up there where he belongs, and I'll talk with you soon, and I always appreciate our friendship beyond everything else, D. So God bless and be well.
Man, blessings to you. Thank you, Dan. Go Cuse.
Go Cuse. Take care. That coming again from Dee Brown, Syracuse and NFL running back alum here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Love a show where my guests are talking about God. Love a show where we are unapologetically faithful, and that's the show every day. That's what we do here. This is what Wake Up Call is. It's about God first. It's about family. It's about community. It's about positivity. It's about having the tough conversations. It's about working together. It's about figuring things out. It's about giving credit where credit is due. It's about love. It's about passion, chasing your dreams, doing what you love, loving what you do. It's about helping the future, but not forgetting the past. Learning from it, growing from it. We have so many different conversations on Wake Up Call with so many different people. And if you could take but one thing from any show, and it can help your life, it can help you get closer to God, it can help you be more positive, it can help you move in the right direction, it can help you take that first step that maybe you were afraid to take, then we're doing our job. and we're doing God's will. And that's the only reason why I'm here. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this with Papa Joe.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. Cannot thank you enough for being a part of the show every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And we are here, of course, when it comes to a Thursday in hour number 2. It's PJ time. Papa Joe here with us every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Sometimes we do the full 2 hours as well. And so Papa Joe here with us hanging out where sports meets life. When baseball crosses football, we do 2 hours. And then when it's predominantly baseball, we do that 1 hour, or predominantly football. We're here today to talk about the Fran Brown hiring as well as get into the bowl season and jump into our NFL picks and see how we did this past week and make our picks for this week. So with that being said, I welcome the man of the hour into the show. PJ, how we doing?
Good morning, Daniel. I'm sorry to say that you got some little white stuff coming down on you. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, I went from having short weather with a sweatshirt on, which I love that weather. It's a little bit cooler in Florida than mine is like living in the 70-ish, 75, but it was 65 down in Florida, and got to be with PJ and MT as well as Joey, and we had a great time, and we got to just hang out and enjoy the weather and enjoy company, being together, which is always something I appreciate more than anything. And your weather was it was so good. It was sweatshirt, out there grilling burgers at night, loving it. And so, came up here, and I got into my car, started driving. I see some white dots just start to fall. And today there's snow, but it's falling lightly, but it's cold. And my allergies are definitely making an adjustment, not a fun one. So, not happy with that. But
Yeah, we got some snow here, PJ. It's all good, though. There's some good news that have come out of Syracuse. Fran Brown being hired by the Orange. You and I have talked about it a bit, and Fran Brown saying that he wants the alumni to come back, something that I banged the drum on for a long time. He said we're going to run the ball, something I banged the drum on for a long time. He said we're going to play hard defense, something I banged the drum on for a long time. And he said he wants to help in the community. He wants to be in the Syracuse community. It reminds him of Camden, New Jersey, where he grew up. He doesn't want any cameras around when he's doing community service. He just wants to be able to help, and he's not doing it for the publicity. So he wants to recruit the Northeast. He wants to find those kids that want to grow and expand. He appreciates the history. He reaches back to the history. He called Paul Pasqualoni before he took the job. So from alumni to being a part of the community, to community service, to respecting the history, to running the ball, to playing hard defense, all of these things that I've been saying for years upon years, he said all of that in his introduction as a Syracuse head coach. Your thoughts?
Really? Well, he's saying the right things, Dan, that's for sure. Certainly, let's hope that he can attain some of those, if not most of those, ideals. Sometimes these coaches walk into a situation where they can be a little bit too idealistic and not realistic, but he seems to be coming into the situation with open eyes. He certainly networked with the right people in the Syracuse area. And I'm curious. I want to see him get off to a good start, meaning that I want to see his recruiting class jump up a little bit. I know he lost another recruit yesterday we were talking about. So now there's only 14 in the class. In order to really load up his roster, he's going to need at least 20, plus whatever he can scarf in the transfer portal. So he's got a big job. He's got a big job. Babers was Babers. He did what he could. He did what he didn't. He did what the people didn't want him to do. He never really. I never really warmed up to the guy. I never did. I just couldn't do it. This guy, I think I can warm up to, because he's saying the right things. Now you got to go out and prove it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? That one of the first things is to say it. You're right. The second thing is to back it up. I think the majority of the people that live on this planet know the certain things that maybe someone wants to hear, but how many of those people carry it out? And now it's the opportunity to carry it out and to showcase that. So definitely excited to see it, PJ. Excited to move forward with this and see where the Orange can go from here as they jump on the recruiting trail and go out there and have some fun. I want to stay with Syracuse for a second. The bowl season, there's a lot. There's 84 teams of 133 in the bowl season. That's about 63%. It's the only sport, collegiately or professionally, that has more than 50% make the postseason. So, with that being said, Syracuse is playing South Florida, and you and I talked about all the connections that I have with this game. I cover South Florida. I have for a decade inside of the American, and then before that, they were in the Big East. So I covered them before that with Charlie Strong. I have a relationship and a connection to Alex Golish. Just had him on the show, their head coach. I cover the American. I cover the ACC. I cover Syracuse. And I also cover the Boca Raton area as I cover Florida Atlantic, FAU, and they call it Winning in Paradise. So Syracuse and South Florida are playing in the Boca Raton Bowl on December 21st, the first official day of winter. What are your thoughts on that game where two former Big East schools get to face off against each other, South Florida and Syracuse, in Boca? What's your take?
I think it's a tough draw for Syracuse. I think the Florida team looks like they got a lot of speed and they play tough. Is the current interim coach, is he going to coach that game?
Yes.
Okay. So the Nunzio guy is going to be able to handle this for Fran before he takes over. Well, that brings a whole different deal in. It's a great time for you because you come down to the South again and you have a wonderful weather probably. And if you're coming with your dad, that makes it even better. So there's a lot of... I took my time this morning and I looked through the bowls. It's impossible to sit down and figure out how these bowls are going to go. There's so many of them. I mean, it's not fun. It's fun this time of the year for the kids because they get to travel, they get to play in a bowl, and they get to do this, do that. But for us pundits, I mean, I got to figure this stuff out. But anyway, Syracuse looks like they can handle the game. So let's see what they do.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure, and we'll get more into bowl season as we go. But I want to get into college football playoff before we jump to the NFL, PJ. College football playoff, there was every year there's turmoil. But what did I say a long time ago? The turmoil is not going to matter until it affects a Power 5. It's not going to matter, and I don't like the Power 5 term, but I'm using it. People understand what I'm talking about. Until it happened to the ACC, the SEC, the Pac-12, the Big 12, or the Big 10, certain people, or maybe whatever, people in the media, people on the committee, maybe they weren't going to care until it happened there, right? It happens to Cincinnati, and I put up a stink about it, but it's not as big as Florida State to some people. Happens to UCF, but it's not, I make a stink about it, but it's not as big of a story. When it happens to Florida State, people start losing their minds. And this is a thing that we have to look to now, right? It happened to Georgia, so they're upset. It happened to Florida State, so people are upset. But I said, in order to change the college football playoff, in order to show that there are certain, I don't want to call it prejudice, that the fact that there's certain special circumstances, depending on what your name is and what conference you're in, there's a reality in the college football playoff that it is not fair. And it hasn't been fair. I've only agreed with the college football playoff selection one time in its entire existence. But now that it has affected a Power 5 ACC school, that it affected Florida State, now people want to talk about it. What I say to those people is welcome to the party. There's been issues for a long time. But I'd love to get your thoughts on it, PJ, because the college football playoff has had an unfair advantage given to certain places. But now that it happened within the Power 5, now people are putting up more of a stink about it, which is something, like I said, that I said a long time ago, is, what it's going to take to change it is probably to have one of the schools that people give more respect to get disrespected.
Well, this is a hot subject, obviously, and the first time I heard of it, I was a little pissed. I really was. And then I said, well, let me do some research. I did some research. I listened to some interviews. I did more reading, and I realized that the committee did the best they could by putting the 4 best teams on the field right now, not best teams from the beginning of the year or in the middle of the year, right now. And I understand where they were coming from, and they actually did the right thing. I mean, no disrespect to Florida State. Of course, I'm a Gator, so this rushes me around a little bit, but I really was for FSU to try to squeeze in there, but they're not the same team that they were. Their quarterback imagine a broken leg right on television is not the easiest thing to go through. And so they tried a couple of, they're all these big teams that they always have several players that can move up and play, most of all quarterbacks. And unfortunately, FSU quarterbacks did not play very well at all.
Yeah.
You're really, the committee's looking at it and they says, well, Alabama beat Georgia. Georgia was number 1. We can't put Georgia in there. Texas beat Alabama. We can't, you got to have Texas in there. So now they're really down to choosing between FSU and Alabama. And they did get it right. I didn't think so to begin with, but they did get it right. Now, in FSU, what they wind up doing is they wind up going to play in Georgia. And I was a little frisky the other day when I was on the internet and on Facebook, and I said, Florida State doesn't have a quarterback. They may not get a first down.
Yeah.
Versus, so they got their wish. So if you want to say that the 2 best teams now, or maybe in the middle of the year, are playing for the national championship, you can say that with FSU and Georgia, but that's not true. But in their own mythical way, they can say, well, listen, we can beat the number one team in the nation who won 29 straight games. We can beat them. If we beat them, we're the best teams. So they can whoop all they want, but the committee did it right. They did it right, and they explained it right. They did it. Of course, if their quarterback was playing, Florida State's quarterback was playing, it would be the four teams that were undefeated. So it's not a good subject to talk about, but I think everyone's over it now, especially when FSU finds out they got to play Georgia. So let the games begin.
Yeah. I mean, I've said throughout the year that with a healthy Jordan Travis, Georgia and Florida State were the two best teams in the country. They got a chance to face off against each other in the Orange Bowl, but it'll be without Jordan Travis, which to me is a travesty. So the college football playoff is where it is, and, I can see both sides of this thing. Right? Do I think it's fair to Florida State? Absolutely not. Do I think it's fair to the ACC in what they put forward with Florida State? It's not fair to Florida State. It's really not. It's not their fault that their quarterback got hurt. And, Alabama, their quarterback got hurt. When Tua went down, they're still in the college football playoff. And, we look at the fact that, and people say, well, Tua had a better backup than Florida State had. It doesn't matter. Their starting quarterback went down. Ohio State, during COVID, they made sure the game was scheduled so that everybody could come back from COVID. So they make these special things for certain and not for others. And I don't appreciate it. So I don't think it's Florida State's fault. I think you punish them for something that's out of their control. That's what I disagree with. If you wanted to know who I think are the best teams to be in, I would have told you, based on injury and based on not having as tough of a schedule, my four, in no specific order, would have been Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Washington. Because Michigan did not play a tougher schedule than any of those teams. And Washington, to me, and Michigan's championship game was a preseason game. So, to me, Washington is the number one team in the country. Them and Michigan are undefeated. Washington's been tested more. Washington's the best team in the country, record-wise. So they should be one. Now, Alabama's going to play Michigan. Good luck with that, Michigan. And then Washington. And this is my thing. And I know that some of you people out there don't understand me no matter how many times I say it. And I'm not going to keep saying it because I'm not going to waste valuable capital on my show repeating myself over and over again. So I'll shorten it to Michigan and Ohio State don't play a tough non-conference schedule. Ohio State played 8 home games in recent history. Most teams play 6, maybe 7. They start the season at home for 4 or 5 games. They don't play ranked teams until they play each other sometimes. And they're only ranked as high as they are because there's a hard-on for the Big Ten. Ohio State and Michigan do not prove that they should be in the number 2 or 3. And between the two of them, they've won one college football playoff combined, and it was the first one. Michigan has never won one. Michigan hasn't looked that great. Ohio State, they've had moments. People say, well, they beat Clemson, Dan. They also lost to Clemson by scoring 0 points. So you can't just talk about one part of history and not the other. So this season, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Washington, and a healthy Florida State are better than Michigan. And you might disagree with me, and that's totally fine. And they say, Dan, what if Michigan runs the table and they beat everybody? What are you going to say? I'm going to say congratulations. I'm going to say you beat who I consider to be better teams in the country at the time. And I'm going to say that it must be easy to go through a schedule that's not as tough so that when you have to play the tough games, you haven't been beaten up as much as the other teams. Would you rather be Alabama this year or would you rather be Michigan? I'd rather be Michigan all day. Not play Texas, not have to play Georgia, not have to play in the SEC. Absolutely. So it's no disrespect to Michigan. It's no disrespect to the Big Ten. It's a disrespect to college football that I can tell you in the preseason who's going to be in the college football playoff. I couldn't say that about Alabama this year, but I did tell y'all They have one loss. And with weeks to go, if they beat Georgia, they're getting in. But I didn't think Georgia would be knocked out after 29 straight wins. So to me, is it the right college football playoff? No, I think Georgia should be in and Michigan should be out. And you would say, how do you keep out a team that's undefeated? What about your excuse for Florida State? Hey, they took out Florida State already. Liberty's undefeated. Nobody cares, unfortunately. I care. But undefeated, what does that mean? UCF went undefeated. What did that do? Cincinnati went undefeated. And what do people say to me? Well, that was in the American. They played a bunch of unranked teams. That's what Michigan did. So, in the only ranked teams that they play are Penn State and Ohio State. Why? Why are they ranked so high? Because they're in the Big Ten. Put Penn State in the American, they wouldn't be ranked in the top 25. They wouldn't be ranked in the top 28. So, everything is kind of relative to the situation that you get to live in. And we're told that Michigan and Ohio State are good, and they have talented players individually. But when I'm looking at what I consider to be the strongest four, it's Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and Washington right now. And if Florida State had a healthy Jordan Travis, they're in there. So I see both sides. I understand what the committee did. But at the same time, the committee made a dangerous precedent. And all I can say, Papa Joe, is that thank goodness they are expanding to 12 next season, because I think that's their only way out of what they chose to do here by a dangerous precedent, is that they don't have to live by that precedent after this year.
Expanding to 12, it doesn't make sense to me either. These kids are supposed to be student athletes, for one thing. And you're going through the Christmas holidays, and all of a sudden, you play a football season. Now you're going to play more games because there's 12 teams in a playoff. You're going to go right into the baseball spring training. They're going from one extreme to the other. 4 certainly wasn't enough. 12 was way too many. So, why not be logical and put it in the middle somewhere and say, certainly we can come up with 6 really good teams that can play for the national championship, but not 12. I don't get it. But, hey, they're going to play the games. Let's see. Michigan just got their worst nightmare by facing Alabama. If Michigan is as good an offensive team as they say they are, they can move the ball against Alabama. So we'll see. I'm sure Nick Saban is licking his chops. Can't wait to get at this.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting for sure to see this college football playoff. And again, like I said, I respect Michigan. I just don't agree with the unfair advantage. And, hey, that's what they have right now. That's what it is. Alabama was out until they beat Georgia. So, people got to think about that. Alabama didn't have the unfair advantage. They were out until they beat Georgia. And when I interviewed Nick Saban, which I'll be putting up very shortly here, Nick said to me that there's a team that has a right to be upset. He talked about the fact that Florida State had a right to be upset. And they got in right above Florida State, and he's still admitting that. So, interesting here how things have shaken out. But it's a dangerous road. I feel bad for Georgia. I feel bad for Florida State. I really do. But as we step forward here, we will be covering it all the way through in bowl season. PJ and I have the opportunity to do our NFL picks every single week. We're going to talk about those picks that are up on your screen for Week 13 right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox.
If I had to describe it, I would like to say welcoming and kind of homey. Like, I feel home when I'm here.
Here's a special message from North Star Nutrition in North Syracuse and Nutrition Wave in Cicero on their very unique shakes and teas.
I always ask them, are you looking for a shake or a tea? Like, are you hungry or do you need a little bit of a pick-me-up? And then from there, I normally gear it towards whichever they prefer. So I say we offer full meal replacement shakes. They're 24 grams of protein, 21 vitamins and minerals. So the vitamins and minerals in that shake make it a full meal. And you'll stay full for about 4 or 5 hours. And if they want a tea, then I'll tell them that there's either 115 to 200 milligrams of caffeine. I would compare it to maybe 2 cups of coffee, and I explain all the benefits that are in the tea. Like, they have B vitamins to sustain your energy all day long. They have a tea for mental clarity and focus. They have a thermogenic tea to help boost your metabolism, burn calories. Aloe is great for nutrient absorption and digestion. And I say there's other flavors in it for the pretty colors and flavors. I always ask them, like, what's your favorite lollipop flavor? And then I'll go from there, and I'm like, well, believe it or not, there's less than a gram of sugar and it's good for you. The shakes, I say it's like your favorite candy bar or your favorite ice cream, because you've had them. It genuinely does not taste like a regular protein shake. This was the first yes that I've ever given, because I've always been like too shy or too scared to like talk to people or anything, and this just kind of really opened me up. I've stayed here so long because I just love seeing everybody's faces, having them like sit down at the bar and just telling us little tidbits about their life. You really have no idea what's going on in other people's life, and I feel like this job specifically really puts it into perspective and just kind of helps you enjoy other people's presence. As like a young adult and as a person, I have learned so much working here. Like, to me, it's way more than just shakes and teas.
For healthy drinks that taste amazing in a welcoming atmosphere, head to North Star Nutrition on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, and Nutrition Wave on 6197 State Route 31 in Cicero, open 7 days a week at each location.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming here to you every single week, 7 days a week. They are open. So make sure you head out and see them on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Make sure that you go over there Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5, 7 days a week, bringing you sports cards in a unique and loving and caring place. You don't want to miss GG Cards and Breaks with their singles as well as their packs, their boxes, and the perfect holiday gifts. You can go there and look for every MLB, every NFL, and every NBA team. They have everyone on the back wall. Go and check it out today and find your way out to GG Cards and Breaks. Same hobby, new memories, right on site at 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, pardon me, my allergies are terrible today. So with that being said, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, PJ and I are here to go over our Week 13 picks in the NFL as well as to jump to Week 14. So taking a look at Week 13 and how we fared in the NFL, we're going to jump right into that and take a look here at Week 13, which is up on your screen on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT. And, of course, you're listening on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Dallas, we both chose to win Thursday Night Football and got that correct. So I'll circle that. Moving on to the next one, Indianapolis. I picked Indianapolis. PJ picked Tennessee. Indy won in overtime, 31-28, thanks to the play of Gardner Minshew. What's up? Former Jaguar. And I said they should have kept him, and if he was on the team right now, you would have him backing up Trevor Lawrence in an emergency situation. The Chargers got a game. What an ugly game. And the Chargers, the Patriots are bad, but the Chargers aren't that much better, scoring 6 points against the Patriots, winning 6-0 in one of the most ugly games that you could see in football in a long time. 6-0. I mean, congratulations to the Chargers, but they got some offensive woes going on. Detroit beats New Orleans in a shootout, 33-28. And then we take a look at Atlanta beat the Jets in a weird score, 13-8. The Pittsburgh Steelers fell to the Cardinals, 24-10. Cardinals getting another win against a team that's fighting to get in the playoffs. Miami we chose over Washington. They won by 30. Miami's just in a different world. I said when I sat next to Papa Joe in our live show down in St. Augustine when we selected
who we thought would win every division and get into the wild card. We chose all of our postseason NFL teams before the season even had a first snap. And I said, I'm picking Buffalo to win the AFC East. But, mark my words, if Tua Tagovailoa stays healthy, there's a chance, to me, there's a good opportunity for Miami to win the division. And look what's happening right now with a healthy Tua, and God willing that stays. I'm not a Miami Dolphin fan, like I'm a Jaguar fan, but I'm a fan of seeing Tua in the postseason. I am a fan of seeing Tua playing an entire season and what that could look like for the NFL, for the Dolphins. I would love to see that. And look at what they're doing. I said with a healthy Tua, I could see Miami winning this division, because when I picked Buffalo, it was also thinking about the fact that Tua hasn't always stayed as healthy. But if he does, I can definitely see Miami, and Miami's doing it right now. And Buffalo's not doing any favors to help themselves. Houston defeats Denver 22-17. We got that one right. Tampa defeats Carolina barely, 21-18. Carolina, worst team in the country. And then from there, we have the Rams over the Browns, 36-19. With a ton of players getting involved, including Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. San Francisco beats Philadelphia. We both picked San Fran. They won 42-19 in that game. I don't think anybody saw the game being that crazy. Thinking about a game that people didn't see, Green Bay defeats Kansas City on Sunday Night Football, 27-19. We got that one wrong. I think every time I picked against Green Bay, and not every time, but a bunch of times, it's come back to bite me. And the game I was at, Jacksonville, overtime, Jake Browning, C.J. Beathard toward the end of the game. C.J. gets it, C.J. goes in for Trevor Lawrence. Jake Browning gets the win, 34-31 in overtime. So we got that one wrong. So with that being said, PJ has 1-1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 2, 9 and 4. PJ goes on the week. So we continue to have our winning records. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I go 10 and 3. So PJ, any thoughts here from Week 13 in the NFL after we go over this and talk about our records? You being 9 and 4, me being 10 and 3. Any thoughts?
Well, I think we should mention Trevor Lawrence's problems. If you have ever been in a situation where there's a hell of a lot of people in attendance somewhere and something drastic happens, and all of a sudden there's a lull across the crowd, no one's talking, no one's yelling. That's what happened when Trevor went down. Frankly, when I saw him down, I'm going through my mind, well, there goes the season. They'll have to start till next year. Because the way he looked, it did look like he could play, period, in the next couple of weeks. And not only did he refuse a cart, which he probably should have done, he tried to walk it off and walk to the rooms, and he couldn't do it. So he was pretty hurt. I mean, he was really hurt. Now all of a sudden, here we are a couple of days later, and his ankle's feeling better, and there's a chance he could play. It isn't that and this and that. Doug Pederson's saying, well, we got to look after the health of the players and that. So I imagine it's going to be a game time decision. It was sad to say it. I was shocked. I mean, I was shocked. I couldn't believe what was happening. So let's hope that the young man is fairly well. Maybe 75-80%. Trevor is probably better than a lot of quarterbacks in the division. So we'll have to see if they can get by this week. I think they're playing Cleveland. I think if they get by this week, then I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the Jaguars is, we're not talking about this being a season from 5, 6, 10 years ago. We're talking about this being a season where the Jacksonville Jaguars have hopes of getting to that AFC Championship game, which they've done 3 times in their history, but this time around advancing past it. And so, all hands on deck are going to be extremely important. What is not Trevor's fault is the way the defense played in this game. Now, the worst defensive games that the Jaguars have had all season have all come at home. Those games against San Francisco, the game at home against Houston, and this game against Cincinnati. Now, people would say to me, Dan, the game against Cincinnati went to overtime and it was close. That's true. But I'm talking about the worst defensive games. And to me, and Papa Joe, you could tell me if you disagree with this, but the Jacksonville Jaguars, to me, their 3 worst defensive games this season, Houston, San Fran, Cleveland, all at home. And so not only is it not good to hear of them having these moments where the defense just wasn't really able to stop anything, but it's unique that they weren't able to stop it in the worst moments being at home and not on the road.
True. I mean, I don't know what's going on there. I mean, you got a great fan base here now. The place is noisy. It's fun to be in. And here they lay some eggs like this. Their defense didn't, for whatever reason, Caldwell's defense didn't show up. And I think I saw one sack that Josh Allen, and after that, it just wasn't much. I think they had 2 sacks. They gave up almost 500 yards to a journeyman quarterback. I mean, come on. You would think that their pride would get in the way and say, listen, we're supposed to beat this team without Joe Burrow. We're supposed to beat these teams. It didn't happen. And I guess I was more excited about Trevor Lawrence than I am about the defense, but it sucked. It sucked. It was terrible.
Yeah, and the high ankle sprain to Trevor Lawrence, I mean, it was scary to see him get up and then, try to walk and fall back down. We did see him after the game. I keep that stuff to myself. I mean, he was in the locker room with us, and I thank the Jaguars for trusting us as media in that room with him, because he was in the room with us, and it's weird because in Syracuse, I feel like if the Syracuse media was in that room with the Jaguars, they would have been snapping pictures and getting video of Trevor at his locker. Nobody bothered Trevor. None of the media people bothered Trevor. Nobody went over to him, took pictures, this, that, whatever. And I feel like in other places that would have happened. It didn't happen here. So I thank the Jaguars for trusting us. And I thank Trevor for trusting us. And I respect. So, I just want to see him get better. I know people are obsessed with injuries and what's going on with this and that and the other. But I remember that these are human beings. And a coach said to me a long time ago, when people kept asking him about injuries, he walked away from the interview. He was pissed. And I chased him down. I said, Coach, you're not mad at me. Because we had a friendship on and off the field. I said, are you mad at me? He goes, no. I said, I didn't ask you any questions about that. He said, no, I'm not mad at you. He said, I'm mad about that. And he pointed back. He was like, I'm mad at them. He was upset. He said, do they understand by asking these questions, if I tell them what injury my guy has, what do you think is going to happen? If I tell him he's got a right ankle injury, what do you think is going to happen the next game? All the guys on the other team are going to go after that right ankle. And I don't want to maim one of my players because somebody's got to write a story. And so I feel the same way about Trevor. I feel the same way about anybody. These are human beings. Of course you want them on the field. Of course you want all hands on deck. But I'm not into let me take all these pictures of Trevor Lawrence. All I want is for Trevor to be okay. Trevor's a family guy, right? He's got parents. He's got his lady. He's got his team. I want Trevor to be healthy because I want him to be healthy. I want everybody to be healthy. And I hope that, I want the people that are rude to me to be healthy because I'm not going to wish bad on you. So, do we need Trevor out there? As a Jaguars fan, do people need Trevor? Absolutely. Absolutely. But Trevor's going to go through his process. It's a high ankle sprain, and it's not considered to be season ending, which is fantastic news. But what's also fantastic is I've seen backups step in for Jacksonville that have done nothing. C.J. Beathard had himself a heck of an overtime. I want to honor that. C.J. Beathard kept this game alive with the offense, and I want to show him some love because he threw a pass that was completed and down at the 1 yard line, and the Jacksonville Jaguars would have won this game if not for a holding penalty on the offensive line. So it wasn't CJ's fault. CJ threw a pass downfield, receiver catches it, falls at the 1, and push it in, right? But the call got back for holding. So I do want to make a note of that, PJ, because people see the end score and they see what happened with the field goal, but they don't see the fact that CJ Beathard was leading the game-winning drive if not for a penalty.
Well, he's certainly a good backup for Trevor, and he knows his stuff. He's been around a while. I think he's acclimated himself to Doug Pedersen's offense, and I don't look for them to slow down at all here against Cleveland. So, but you got my man Joe Flacco throwing the ball now for Cleveland. The man come out of retirement, 38 years old, going to sling it around, as the old ball coach used to say. Pitch it around the infield.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see Cleveland. I mean, they've had 4 different quarterbacks this season. They're not out of contention for the playoffs. Deshaun Watson had them moving in that direction. So, I do want to congratulate them for the work that they've put forward this season, and it's unfortunate when injuries happen, but hopefully this thing is not season-ending and it's not smoke and mirrors and Trevor can get out there. My only advice to Trevor, be healthy before you go out. Be healthy before you go out. Joe Burrow came back, and I don't think any of us thought he was truly healthy. And now he's out again. And when Joe came in this season, I just felt like he wasn't completely okay. So Trevor, I know you want to play. I know you love this team. I know you're a leader. But I need you to think about the rest of your life. And as much as I want to see you out there, I want you to be healthy before you walk out there again. So with that being said, we go to week 14. Let's go to Thursday Night Football. If it wasn't enough to see the Patriots put up 0 points against the Chargers and Pittsburgh to lose by 2 touchdowns to Arizona, we get to see them tonight, Papa Joe. Will you be staying up to watch New England at Pittsburgh? And who do you have to win?
No.
I feel like every single broadcast that I do with you, PJ, I have to find one question where I know that you're going to give me your signature no. I have to find one thing, and that was the thing where I'm like, is PJ going to stay up? And we don't pre-plan this, folks. It's just I know him well enough. And I was like, is he going to stay up for this? And I just wait and I anticipate it. No. So, what are your thoughts here on the game?
Well, I got Pitt. I think Pitt walks over this game. Kenny got hurt last week a little bit too, but they just got too much for it. I don't know what's the Grumpy Lobster Bowl captain is not himself. I don't know if he's got lady problems or he's got a prostate problem. I don't know what the problem is with the Lobster Bowl captain, but he's a shell of himself on the sidelines. And I know he doesn't have a very good team, but boy, this is tough to watch. I've always been a Belichick fan, but it's tough to watch.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, it's tough to watch, and he will not watch it. I'm going with Pittsburgh as well in this matchup. Pittsburgh has had woes this season. They've had woes at home, but the king of woe this season is New England. So, a lot of woe, but too much woe on New England's side. I am not going with the Patriots in this one. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be stealing away that lobster, and they're going to have some Dunkin' Donuts on the card of the New England Patriots for sure. So I'm going with Pittsburgh in this game. This is not a game to put in prime time, but here we are. Tampa Bay at Atlanta, PJ. Tampa's had some really good moments under Baker Mayfield. The division's wide open. Atlanta has reclaimed the division. For those of you that thought Desmond Ritter's not a good quarterback, then he got replaced by Taylor Heineke. Now he's back as the quarterback, and the division is still open. Tampa at Atlanta, what do you got?
Oh, this is a pretty tough game. I know it's played in Atlanta, and probably Atlanta should be favored, but I like Tampa in this game. I think that the Godwin and the other wide receiver for Tampa just can't be covered. And Baker Mayfield's learned from Tom Brady to get the ball to these guys, and he will. this is Tampa's game.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tampa in this matchup. I respect the fact that Atlanta's having themselves a better season than maybe some anticipated, but I think Tampa, they got some good things on defense, and of course they have two of the best receivers in the game, and Baker's proven that he can do a lot of things, and he's definitely gone above what I anticipated this season for him, so I'm really excited to see what he could do. Detroit at Chicago. Last time they played, even though they're in two different places when it comes to this season, last time they played, it was a close game. What do you have, PJ?
I really like Detroit. I like what Campbell's doing up there. Always like Goff. Throws the heck out of the ball. God, he throws the ball well. This is really a huge turnaround for Detroit, and I think they're going to keep it going. Chicago's still struggling with whatever they're trying to do for a quarterback up there. Who knows? I know they're playing in Chicago, but I still like Detroit.
I got to go with the Lions as well in this matchup. I think the Lions are, they got a tough NFC, but the Lions are a hard out to anybody, and I'm going to put them in this game to get the victory, even though it's on the road. I'll run through these quick, PJ, because I know you got to get rocking. Indianapolis at Cincinnati.
Well, Minshew just was a terror last week. I mean, he was everywhere. Throwing the ball, jumping all over the place, being happy. Jake Browning looked like Bart Starr for Cincinnati last week. I don't think that's going to repeat itself. I know they're playing at home, but I like Indy. This is a tough game, but I like Indy.
Two quarterbacks that have found a way to make some hay for themselves in respect to Gardner Minshew, because you and I have respected him, and he didn't get it as much as I feel like he had earned it, and maybe now he's starting to get some. Jake Browning as well has stepped it up. I'm going to go with Indy in this game, but I think this game is going to be a fun one to watch for sure, and I hope people watch it. Jacksonville at Cleveland, what do you got?
Well, I guess we got to pick Jacksonville. I mean, I'm not going to be a fair weather friend here. Even though Joe Flacco's being reincarnated here, I think Jacksonville wins.
Yeah, I got the Jaguars in this one. I'm hoping that the defense can bounce back. I just see that there's more on Jacksonville's side than Cleveland's side, having to go through 4 different quarterbacks this season. And I know that C.J. Beathard's going to have to get it done, but if he can lean on Travis Etienne and he can lean on Evan Engram, which he did in overtime, and, of course, the defense can bounce back, I think Jacksonville will be all right. Carolina at New Orleans.
I like New Orleans here. Carolina's got some real problems. Even though they played better last week, they got some real problems, and I don't think a new coach or a new administration is going to help these guys.
Yeah.
I think that they know they made a huge mistake by not taking C.J. Stroud, and I think every time they play a game, they think about that.
Yeah, I'm going with New Orleans as well. Carolina's the worst team in the country. Insult to injury, if they have the worst record, they have to give the number 1 pick to Chicago because of the trade they made for Bryce Young. So they don't even get to make the number 1 pick after having the worst season this season in the NFL if it holds. Houston at the Jets, speaking of C.J. Stroud.
The kid has impressed me. I mean, you know how I feel about the quarterbacks coming out of Ohio State. They're not ready to play ball. This kid's ready to play ball, and I don't know what type of assessment that the teams do when they pick quarterbacks to be their franchise quarterback. I know the young kid would play for Alabama. I guess there's nothing wrong with him. He's a super player, but they really missed the boat on CJ, and he's going to keep going because he's going to keep winning.
Stroud is in stride. I got Houston winning this game over the New York Jets, despite the fact that the New York Jets defense is strong. Next one up here, Rams at the Ravens.
I like Baltimore here. It's too difficult. This is a tough defense. Lamar Jackson is all over the place. They're playing at home. I got to take Baltimore.
I got to take the Baltimore Ravens as well. I think Baltimore's got too much going good for them, and a healthy Lamar Jackson has got them in a place where they could head off to the Super Bowl. Minnesota at the Raiders. The Raiders.
I guess Josh Dobbs is going to come back play again. I guess he had a couple of rough games where I think he turned the ball over 6 times or something like that. But he's a great story, and love to see him smile, love to see him bounce around. I know he's going to go in space one day, so what the hell, Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to go with Minnesota in this game as well. I know that Justin Jefferson fighting to get himself back onto the field, and I need him because I got him in 3 on my 4 fantasy teams. So come on back, Justin. Seattle at San Francisco. What do you got?
Seattle at San Francisco. This is the whole thing is wide open for San Francisco right now. They got to take care of their own situation, their own division, and they will. I know that they're not playing as well. They had a terrible game against Kansas City. You don't know why. Maybe it was 20 degrees up there, but I like them.
Yeah, San Francisco to me, I mean, I said Philly a couple weeks ago was the best team in the country, and San Fran just blew them out. So San Fran had that 3-week blunder. Now they've been kicking it well. I'm going with San Francisco. Buffalo at Kansas City.
Well, this game, I think when everyone saw it, was supposed to be a fun game to watch and 2 of the best teams in football. Well, it didn't turn out that way. Kansas City certainly isn't playing to their standards. Buffalo sure as hell isn't. But I think Kansas City wins at home.
Yeah, I got Kansas City winning this game, but I had said during the season, very early on in the season in early October, Kansas City struggling to score offensively, and that's something to pay attention to. They were relying on their defense because their offense was not getting many points, under 20 or around 20, and eventually teams have taken advantage of that. And I think Buffalo could if they were playing better, which they're not. So this is a primetime game that may not feel as prime time. Denver at the Chargers.
Well, the Chargers certainly have to do better what they did last weekend, and I think they will. The Chargers.
PJ's going with the Chargers. I'm going with a defense that has definitely garnered respect from me, the Denver Broncos. If if the Chargers can only score 6 points against the Patriots, I think Denver can handle this one on the road. Sunday Night Football, finally we get a big one. Philadelphia at Dallas. This has implications for the entire NFC and the top 3 seeds. What do you got, PJ?
Well, I thought last week Philly and San Francisco was the game of the year. This is probably the second game of the year. They're playing at Dallas. Hurts he's got to rally. I mean, he may be hurt a little bit too, so I don't know if he bounced around as well as he has in the past. But I think Dallas is playing awful good. I don't know if it's a mirage or is it they're really playing well. I don't know, but I like Dallas in this game.
I like Dallas to even the series with Philadelphia, and if they do, them and Philly will have the same record, and there's an opportunity for San Fran to move up as well. Dallas still has the opportunity to take the division. They needed San Fran to help them. That happened last week. Now Dallas has control of their destiny, and this week alone can change the entire outlook of the NFC. I got the Dallas Cowboys winning the game to have control of their destiny. Tennessee at Miami. There's a double Monday Night Football, PJ. I know you're not watching the second one, but that we're going to talk about, but I'm going to ask you about this one, Tennessee at Miami.
Oh, I love watching Miami. You're right about Tua. I mean, I underestimated him, too, when he came into the league. I thought he was too small and too slow to play the game at this level. But he's got something with Tyreek Hill that, first of all, you can't cover Tyreek Hill. I mean, if you want to double cover him, just like you used to do with Will Chamberlain in the paint, you may have to double cover this guy, or with Kels. Kels along the goal line they're almost triple team him. So if you don't double team Hill, Tua's going to have a field day. So I think Tua's going to have a field day. I like Miami.
Yeah, Tennessee's had themselves not a great last couple of years. Miami has Tua, and Tua has Miami. I got the Dolphins in this one. Final game, Green Bay at the New York Football Giants. Will Tommy DeVito go 3-0 in the last 3 games?
Here's another situation where my bros in Wisconsin are saying this Jordan Love is the real thing. I'm still not sold on the guy, but he sure looked good against Kansas City. I'm going to go with the Giants.
I'm going with the Giants as well. Tommy DeVito, 3-0 in the last 3 starts that he's had. Yes, sir. Give me some more. Let's do it here with the DeVito, former Syracuse quarterback, over the Green Bay Packers, who have been up and down and around the corner. PJ, as always, I appreciate you. I send you, MT, and Joey my love, as well as to Boom Boom and Marissa. I look forward to talking with you soon. Be safe, and God bless as always.
Thank you, Daniel. See you later. Bye-bye.
Take care. Coming from PJ, that is what it looks like. Those are our picks, folks. They are up here for you, and you're going to have the opportunity to see how well we did on these picks next week. So we'll have a recap of how everything looked from here, and we're going to wrap up today's show now that we have given you our picks for NFL Week 14. I appreciate you so much for watching and listening to Wake Up Call from up and down all throughout central and upstate New York, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the world. Thank you so much for tuning in. And to anybody that's up at the space station that's watching and listening to Wake Up Call, hi from the ground as you hang out in space. And by the way, shout out to all of my very awesome supporters that have watched and listened from the air. 30,000 feet in the air. Let's go. Let's do it. I love it. So you can watch and listen to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, they hop into the archive. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. A big time thanks to our incredible partners that you heard throughout this broadcast. Carvel DeWitt, don't let the cold weather fool you. The DT Dolphin, my signature Sunday, with a connection to the Lemoyne College Dolphins, is available to you daily. Go out and get yourself one at 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. The only Carvel that I know of that has a mold to make the chocolate dolphin, because they had to go send for one, and the only place that has the DT Dolphin in the world. So make sure you get out there today. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. You got to go to Ma and Pa's to make your gift basket for the ones you love. And maybe you want to make a little one for yourself. How about that? And you can get your holiday tins. And remember, any tin you buy at Ma and Pa's on 2017 North Street in Liverpool, New York, any tin you buy, half-price refills for the rest of your life. How about that? Make sure you go out there and get some Ma and Pa's today. 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, PB&J's Lunchbox, Mother's Cupboard, where you can go and get my sandwich, the Cuse McMother. The Cuse McMother, available 7 days a week, 3709 James Street, Syracuse, New York. It is a staple of our community, Mother's Cupboard is. Go and get the Cuse McMother. So many of you have gotten it. Thank you so much. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and have it with syrup. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. And you, when you walk through the door, can see it on display. So make sure you go and get one today. Canine Campground, dog boarding. Pizza Man, which we will be tonight. Bruce Williams, Rob Drummond, and myself were all in attendance at the Fran Brown introductory press conference. We're going to be talking about Fran Brown and the future of Syracuse football tonight at Pizza Man with you, Syracuse fans. So if you're a fan of the Orange, come out and hang out with us tonight at Pizza Man. We're going to be having a conversation with 2 Orange alumni, and all 3 of us having been in the room with Fran Brown for that introductory press conference, and we all got to talk to him. So make sure you come out to 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York tonight to see our show and to talk about the future of Syracuse football. 6 p.m. tonight, December 7th, Pizza Man, 50 Oswego Street, Baldwinsville. North Star Nutrition and Nutrition Wave, where I have my Mic Drop drink. Go and get the Mic Drop today. So many of you have gotten it. It's only been out for a few weeks, and you guys jumped on it the first day it came out. Shout out to the community for being awesome. Go and get my Mic Drop. It is a healthy tea. It's got caffeine, but the good stuff, right? It's the better choice than going out there and having some of these drinks that are not healthy for you. This is a healthy tea that tastes so very good. It's so sweet and awesome. It tastes like you're drinking a drink that's straight sugar, but it's not. That's the beauty of it. It tastes great, and it's better for you. Go and get the Mic Drop today. Mic Drop with pomegranate, blueberry, blackberry, strawberry, and watermelon all mixed together at North Star Nutrition on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York. And Nutrition Wave, that just celebrated their 1-year anniversary. Congratulations and happy anniversary to Nutrition Wave. 6197 New York 31 in Cicero, New York. Head out there and ask for the Mic Drop today. following college Dolphins are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. You can see your Dolphins today and every day by going to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and hang out with the Dolphins. And on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we have Dolphin Time with AD&DT featuring Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, first and third Wednesday of each month. Second and fourth Wednesday, we have the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, alumni, and future Dolphins. All of that is on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and the notification bell. And also, you can find the Dolphins by going to wakeupcalldt.com. Underneath the exclusive partners tab, you'll find the Dolphins, and you can go to LeMoyneDolphins.com for more information. Go to the fields and the courts and the pools of life and support your Dolphins every single week. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, they're in action today. Men's and women's basketball season is in full effect, and these two teams started off with, during the season, the first poll that came out nationally had them ranked in the top 2 in the nation, both the women's and men's team. Women were ranked 2 in the nation. The men were ranked number 1 in the nation, and they are right in your backyard here in Central New York on James Street in Syracuse. The Bryan and Stratton Bobcats of Syracuse, big time ups to men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, which is in season, baseball, as well as esports, and the entire community at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. You can find the Bobcat Buzz every single month on Wake Up Call. Go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and the notification bell. You can find all of our content with the Bobcats on our YouTube channel. You can also find them on the exclusive partners tab on wakeupcalldt.com. That'll drop down. Click on BSC Syracuse and find it there. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of MonPodspopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Make sure that you give a shout out and some love on your social medias to my fantastic guests I had on the show today. Pat Davis, Syracuse tight end alum from the 1987 undefeated Syracuse team. Last time Syracuse was undefeated, and one of 2 times they've been undefeated in Syracuse football history. Dee Brown, who was there for the last few years of Paul Pasqualoni, who went on to the NFL, whose team was ranked in the top 25 2 out of the 4 seasons he was there, and he had a winning record at Syracuse the whole time that he was running the ball in the backfield. He also played quarterback, running back, and fullback at Syracuse in different times. So just mind you on that. As we look to Dan Villari's history, let's remember Dee Brown's as well. And Papa Joe for bringing us all of the conversations on college football, the college football playoff, bowl season, Syracuse's bowl game against South Florida in Boca Raton, as well as Fran Brown being hired to Syracuse and making our NFL picks for Week 14, reflecting on how we did in Week 13. With all of that being said, thank you, Papa Joe. Thank you, Dee Brown. Thank you, Pat Davis. Thank you to you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope I see you tonight on site on location at Pizza Man. Who doesn't want to be around Syracuse Orange alumni and have this conversation about Fran Brown? Rob Drummond, Bruce Williams, myself have all been in the room with Fran Brown. I got to interview him. They got to talk to him after the introductory press conference, and we have an opportunity to share with the community your thoughts on Syracuse football tonight, December 7th, 6 p.m. Pizza Man. Be there. 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. I'll talk with you soon. I hope you have a great day. God bless. No stress. Do your best. Be well.